Hey guys, what's up? Eddie Yahoo here with KissAnalog.com. Today I'm really excited because I saw a comment left by someone that really surprised me and made me happy to see them, that they saw a video on this channel and recognized it and left a comment. I think that's awesome. And it was EEVblog. Dave himself, it looks like, left a comment and left some bullet points about my video. And so I think that's awesome. And I want to thank him for doing that. That's great. Because one thing he did is he brought up some bullet points that I think are really good points to talk to. And it gives me a chance to kind of go back and talk about that rant video. Now, the thing is I'm not a Fluke hater. You can see, all these Flukes I bought, I think I won one of them. It might have been that IR meter. I can't remember which one it was. It was either that or this Fluke 79.3. One of the two. I think it was that meter up there. But yeah, you can see I've got these clamp-ons. Got 3 of them back here. Bunch of meters. I bought all these things. I've got some bench tops. Another bench top over here. And I got a Keithley, you might notice. And let's see, what I got some Tektronix and an amp probe. So you might be thinking, like, what am I mixing those in for? Well, they're kind of all part of the family. And I'll explain that later. I think when we discuss one of the bullet points that the EEVblog left. So I just want to thank him again for leaving these comments because it's given me a chance to talk about this stuff again. And, well, maybe for the first time some of these bullet points. But, you know, maybe put them down in a nice, logical manner like he did. So let's jump into it. And let me see what you guys think. Alright, so you see the list here. I'm going to put it right here in the window so you can look at it. Now, before he starts the bullet points, he makes a statement just saying that, you know, the cost of the meter, you know, doesn't have anything to do. There's a lot of factors, and he points them out, but it doesn't have anything to do with the protection. And that kind of caught me by surprise because I think a lot of the comments I read, a lot of the feeling I get from a lot of people is that they feel like the Fluke meters are very safe, the safest meters maybe, and that's why you can rely on them for safety, and that's the most important thing. And then also, you know, very durable, which is part of the safety, and that they're accurate meters. So, but the protection part, so that did kind of throw me a little bit. But let's jump down to the first bullet point. Alright, so the first one, lifetime warranty. What does that really mean? Well, I wrote limited here because the way they write it, it's really a lifetime limited warranty. So what does that really mean? Well, brass tacks, it means you can count on 10 years. Okay, so let me explain that. Now you have to read it for yourself. Look up one of the manuals, look up the warranty, see what it says. Lifetime warranty. Well, what it means is as long as they're making the meter and 7 years past that, they will warranty it. Okay, so, and they'll guarantee at least 10 years. So if you buy this 87 today and they make an 87.6, well, then this 87.5 or the V meter, or whatever you want to refer to it as, 7 years past this date, they will continue to warranty it. And if you just bought it today, they'll give you 10 years warranty. So that's what that means. Lifetime, lifetime means something different to everybody. And so you have to read their warranty to see what the limited part, because there's a bunch of aspects to that. And you have to see what that really means, okay? For instance, I have a Fluke 189, okay? I bought this used. This little terminal's kind of buggered up. Needs to be repaired. Why didn't the previous owner get it repaired? Well, probably because it was past its lifetime. Well, the meter's still here, so it's still alive, but it's past the warranty period, which isn't really the lifetime of the meter. It's the lifetime of the warranty. I don't know. I don't know what that means. It's marketing garb, right? So anyway, I got to spend about 44 bucks for the little terminal block to replace this one terminal. It comes as a block with all of them. So too bad, but yeah, that's what I need to do with this meter. Fluke 189, my favorite meter. My favorite Fluke meter by far. So yeah, love that meter. The only thing that was kind of stupid is the stand. But anyway, the other thing, because I bought that used, the warranty went transferred to me anyway. So this Fluke 289, I bought that used. The warranty is no good. So, you know, when you're buying these meters new, you're buying with the warranty. And when you buy a car or whatever, yeah, you put a little value into that term of that warranty, right? Well, unlike a car, with the meters, the warranty doesn't translate. So immediately right there, the price should drop just because of that. Now the other thing about the warranty is not all their meters have the lifetime warranty. I looked at a brochure they have that shows about 20 meters, and it looked like 10 of them came with the lifetime warranty, and that would be the Fluke 80 series, the 70 series, the 20 series. Those meters come with the lifetime warranty. There's like 10. And then there's 10 meters on that list that I happen to see that came with 3-year warranties. So, you know, so the 10-year warranty or the 3-year warranty is where most of the meters fall. Well, then there's the Fluke 18B Plus and the other B Plus meters. You know, there's 17, 16 or whatever there are in that. I believe they're all 1-year warranties. You'd have to double check me on all this stuff I'm saying, but yeah, I believe that's true. I did some research, so I believe what I'm telling you is true. The Fluke 106, 107, again, 1-year warranty on those. So, and this 289, boy, it chews up batteries, but the display doesn't. It turns itself off pretty fast because it knows it chews up batteries. And by the way, when the display goes off, you still need to turn it in the off position. The Fluke 87, or else it'll keep draining the battery, just to let you know. The current clamp meters, I don't think any of those come with a lifetime warranty. I think they're all 1 year. It might be a mix of 1 year and 3 year. I don't remember exactly what those are, but yeah. So anyway, lifetime warranty is different for everybody, and all their meters are not covered. Approximately less than half, because when you count like these other meters I talked about with the 1-year warranties. So of the list I saw, like I said, 10 have the lifetime, limited lifetime, 10 have 3 years, and there's at least probably a half dozen meters that have 1 year. And when you talk about the clamp-ons, when you throw that in, now one time I thought the more expensive meters came with the lifetime, the lesser expensive ones did not. That doesn't seem to play true either, because maybe in the handhelds it does, but some of these clamp-ons are just as expensive. They're $500-600, some of them, $300 at least, but they're expensive. And yeah, no lifetime, as far as I know. I spent some time on this. I spent all day yesterday doing a bunch of research, trying to see if I could come up with some good feedback on these bullet points. So there you go. That's what I got to say about lifetime. So what do you guys think about that? Check your meters and look at the warranty on it. Let me know. Okay, another great point. Build quality, proven measurement confidence. And you know, he kind of goes on to say that those in the field that don't understand the importance of that, haven't worked in a professional field, you know, people that are concerned with meteorology. Well, I can tell you that, you know, I've had plenty of years of working in those kind of fields. I've worked in military fields for about 17 years, defense contract roles, design engineer, designing power supplies, that's my specialty. Yeah, and I've worked for commercial companies too that are very concerned with that kind of thing. I've worked with UL. As a matter of fact, I was actually a certified UL tester for about 5 years, I think it was. So, yeah, I understand that stuff, and I guess what I got to say about that is whenever you start a test, when you're doing qual testing, when you're testing for a customer against the requirements and you have to put a package together, at the very top of that, the first thing you do is you list the test equipment you use and the calibration dates, just to prove that you used calibrated equipment when you tested that. A lot of times you'd use bench meters to get the accuracy, but you could use handheld meters as well. And if you're measuring things that are only, say a 5-volt output that needs 1% tolerance, yeah, you can do that with handheld meters as well. So pretty much, it's not just Fluke, it's whatever equipment you happen to use, whatever brand that you use, you just have to have a calibration sticker. So as far as build quality, I think we've seen a lot of meters, one of the lower cost meters I've seen, the build quality is every bit as good as the Flukes, I think, is the Amazon commercial. To me, those things look super rugged. It's hard to buy this one now on Amazon because it keeps on going out of, they can't seem to keep stock in them. But the build quality on the Amprobe, on the Hioki meters, oh gosh, the Testometer, the Fleur, and this Bryman, well, it's a Greenlee, but rebranded. Those meters. And by the way, the EEVblog multimeters, I've only seen pictures of their build quality, but they look excellent, superb. And the price of them is probably, it's, gosh, I want to say half of this. Yeah, I think they are half the cost of this Fluke 87. So, yeah, important stuff, but I don't know if it means that this meter should be around $500. Yeah, okay, so, but yeah, important bullet point. Yep, I agree. I don't agree that, I agree that it has an effect on the price, not to the magnitude that we're talking, but yeah, good point. All right, so bullet number 3, longevity of production. Some products have been in production for 30 years. Yeah, I think that was one of the negative points I pointed out. How many products do we want to buy? I'm trying to think of any other product that I'd want to buy that hasn't changed in 30 years. I'll keep thinking about that. TVs, no. Cars, no. Well, I do have a 1978 Jeep. So, yeah. But I love my new Jeep. I like that Jeep a lot more. But, yeah, so I don't know about that one. Let's talk about that a little bit more, okay? Sorry, I'm just kind of staggering on that one because it's kind of throwing me a little bit. Big deal for military. That's one of the bullet points made. Anybody that doesn't understand, hasn't worked in the military field, something to those affect, the exact verbatim you can read for yourself right here. All right, so yeah, okay, so I guess let's start with my experience in the military field. Like I said, I've worked in defense contractors, people making power supplies for jet aircraft. Again, I'm a design engineer for cargo planes even. So I've done power supplies and that's for the flight controls for the jet aircraft, as a matter of fact. I've done power supply designs for a satellite that never actually got off the ground. I worked for Boeing, and yeah, that project was killed. So I've worked on the power supply for the space station, 6,000 watt power supply. Did qualification testing, so that kind of answers an earlier bullet about the meteorology. Yeah, you had to prove that that thing is going to go in space 20 years, 0 defects. So so yeah, I got the Engineering Excellence Award for finding some errors in that design. I wasn't part of the design team on that. I was brought in later to do the qual testing. So yeah, won several awards for that. But the Engineering Excellence was the big one. It's actually a 10 kilowatt power supply, but it was a 6 kilowatt by spec. 100 volt, 100 amps. So that's what it was capable of. Anyway, they got, at the time, I think they're going to put 13 of them on the space station. Some are going to be indoors, some are outdoors, and yeah. So, but I've done power supplies for Navy. I got an award for that design, and I got an award for showing them how to test it as well. It was a brand new kind of design, came up with the test. So yeah, going to the test data, I've heard that some people write test data for use a Fluke 87, take this measurement, so they got to keep on buying that meter because of that. Well, that wasn't ever true in the documents I wrote. The way I was taught to write those documents is use a Fluke 87 or something equivalent. Use a Tektronix scope model, blah blah blah, or equivalent. Because if people are still building those power supplies today, or still testing those power supplies today, per that document that I had written, those Tektronix scopes you can't buy anymore. So you always say or equivalent, because you don't really care. There's nothing special about this meter. It just isn't. So you can use a Fluke, another Fluke, or another branded meter. You can use a Keithley, and these benchtop meters, great meters. Anyway, so yeah, I've got, like I said before, 17 years working for, I think it's 4 different defense contractors, Lear, Astronics, Teledyne Controls, Boeing, and L3 Harris. So there you go. I've got some experience there. I've got also a lot of it. I've been around for a while. I've also got a lot of experience with commercial stuff, and that stuff's pretty demanding as well. Imagine making a power supply for a set-top box for DirecTV. Well, they're going to make 4 million of those power supplies the first year. They're going to make 88,000 the first week. So, yeah, that actually had me a little bit more worried than some of the military stuff I designed. Again, for the Navy, airborne, both unmanned aircraft and manned aircraft, vehicles, personnel who carry those, things they call a rover. It looks like an iPad, big thick iPad, so they can see the area they're in on a map with updated information from satellites and planes and all this kind of cool stuff. We got a lot of high-tech stuff in our military. So yeah, military having to have an expensive meter, Fluke 87. Now, on the other hand, in our lab, we had stacks of these things. What happens is you have a lab manager who just goes out and buys all your expensive equipment, your $20,000 oscilloscope, and your other expensive power supplies and all that kind of stuff. You might have a $20,000 power supply, $20,000 active load. I mean, there's a lot of really expensive equipment. So this stuff becomes like just beans, jelly beans. Oh, you need 10 or 20 meters for that project? Okay, we're going to buy a bunch of meters. Well, that just means they're going to buy a bunch of Fluke 87s because that's what they buy. Now, I can also tell you that when I saw the Fluke 189s hit the lab, I was really excited. That meter is like so refreshing to see something that this thing's close to 18 years in production. The Fluke 5, the V, whatever you want to refer to it as, it's just been around for a long time, right? But yeah, so it's kind of boring, it's kind of fun, and this meter here, I think even Fluke said it had, actually I think the Fluke 87.5 and the 189 were dropped, on the market, I think the same year, and the 189 just didn't last. Now, some people think it was replaced by the 289. Well, they're totally 2 different meters. I don't think that's true. There's a 79 series, an 80 series, there's a 20 series. They have a lot of different series. Why not have the 180 series? They got rid of the whole series. Why? Makes no sense. It should have been the 189.2, the 189.3, the 189.5, that kind of thing, just like they did at the 87. Well, I think it's because the 189 and the 87 are so similar, and even Fluke said this one came with 20 additional features, that for about the same price, this is a far better meter. So they didn't want to kill the sales on that, so they got rid of this guy. That's my humble opinion. I don't know. I just wish they wouldn't have got rid of the 189, the best meter they made. But they did. Anyway, there you go. So, anybody want to buy a meter? You want it? Okay, so this 18, in another 10, 12 years, you'll still be happy buying this meter? Yeah, maybe some people will, but that's kind of boring to me. Display's not great. You know, it needs a decibel feature. There's a lot of things that this, oh, sorry, the 189. I'm going back to that again. Anyway, all right, so big deal for military. I worked around military stuff for a long time. I went on the Navy ship. There's actually a thing where they, with our communication system that talks to the helicopters, help them land on the ship. There's an issue with the power. I wrote a white paper showing the Navy how to wire up the power to power our equipment. So, yeah, I've been around. I've done some stuff. I'm kind of long in the tooth myself. So, yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about, I think. So, on the job, I never cared about the price, I guess. I just never really thought about it. But when I started this channel, I just thought, you know what? There's meters that are more fun. The build quality is awesome. And they're so much more affordable. I can't see telling you guys to buy this when there's so many better options. Now, Amprobe, again, owned by the same company, better deal, more updated meter, dual display for, you know, I mean, just, anyway, yeah. So, there you go. I don't know if being long in the teeth is a good reason to be expensive. The last part of that just strikes me is there's a thing called ROI, right? Return of investment. When you spend a lot of money designing and developing an instrument, you need to get that money back. When somebody copies you and they knock it off and sell it for cheaper, it's like, you know, that's not fair. Thing is this thing was designed a long time ago. When they came out with the 5, there's only a few additional features they added to this one that the 3 or the 4 did not have. I don't think the 4 was on the market very long, but the 3. And so, and by the way, I think the original 87 had I think a 3-year warranty. When we go back and talk about warranties, I don't know when they came out with that lifetime warranty, but anyway, there you go. So let's go to the next bullet. All right, guys, this one I like. Made in the USA. Yeah, heck yeah. I'm a U.S. citizen. I served 4 years in the Air Force. Yeah, I'm patriotic. Sure, I want to support American companies. I love that Made in America stuff. But I'm not sure if Fortive is an American company. I think it's an international conglomeration. So I don't know if it's really an American company. So I don't know if I'm supporting an American company by buying from them. The companies, some of this stuff's made in the USA. Some of these meters are. The Fluke 87 is. Some are not. Some are made in Malaysia. Some are made in China. Some are made in Taiwan. I think all of these handheld ones. Now, I thought it was just a more recent thing, but back in the day, I think Fluke had a thing with Philips. They had a test measurement group kind of work together, had Fluke's name on it, but yeah, they worked with Philips. I think they used plants in Taiwan even back then, and I'm not sure if the yellow ones are still made in Taiwan, but it does not say made in USA. I think if it does not say made in USA, then they're not trying to get that credit because they can't. So yeah, I don't know where they're made. Let me know what meters you guys have, if they're Fluke or even another brand, and where they're made, or do you really care even? Some people do. They want to support American companies. I'm just not so sure you're supporting an American company anymore when you're buying from them. I just not sure about that. Yes, some meters are still made in the USA, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know yet. International company, with brand. Well, the headquarters I think still in the U.S. So yeah, maybe they are a U.S. company. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, as far as being made in the USA, as far as that goes, some are not. All right. Point number 5. They're a pioneer. They pioneered multimeters. They sure did, and we thank them for that. But do I want to donate twice as much money for a meter because they're a pioneer and I respect that? I'll buy their meter to show them respect, but it has to be priced adequately. It has to be priced competitively, not overpriced because of this idea that there's somehow some great giant of a meter that we should just all respect and buy as a de facto standard. Yeah, de facto standard. They earned that years ago, but let's talk about that. I want to just talk about their history a little bit, okay? Because they did become a de facto standard, and I think at this point, if you think about other companies that were de facto standards, try and think of their names. That's what happens. They become de facto standards. They get the bean counters take over the company, and pretty soon the products just aren't there. They can never catch back up again, and the competition races by them. So, being a de facto standard doesn't give you the right to overprice your stuff, and you know, just because you're the pioneer. Now, they don't have to make cheap meters. Well, there's a long ways from, if we say they're priced up here and a cheap meter is priced down here, let's say a Hubble test or a Astro or a Kaiwitz or something like that, there's lots of meters in between that. You know, there's the FLIR meters, there's the Testo meters, there's the Amprobe meters, there's the Greenlee meters, there's, you know, the Brymans. A lot of meters down here. There's the EEVblog meters, which are, to me, I got to get one of those things. I was looking at the spec on, I think it's the 121 GW. Man, that looks like an incredible meter. Now, the price is what? I think U.S. price today on Amazon's $215. That's an awesome price. That looks like it outdoes the Fluke 189 back here. And it outdoes a lot of other my meters I'd put up there at the top. So, yeah, I need to get one of those things. But, yeah, there you go. A YouTube channel has built a better meter. That's what I'm talking about, man. You become complacent, you lose your place in line, and you may not get it back. So, we've seen it, right? Just think about word processing. WordPerfect. Does anybody remember that? You guys might be too young even. Before, you know, back in the day, that was the de facto word processor. P-Spice. P-Spice, still struggling to maintain a grip on. I don't know where it falls in the line of spice machines anymore, but it was the de facto standard. They were bought by a big corporation. The importance of what they did, I mean, they were bought to use internally, I believe. I don't know what the deal was, but for some reason they just lost their grip. So there's lots of de facto standards. You could probably think of some yourself. The Sony Walkman, that was a portable device we all carried, right? Now, the portable devices, you know, iPods and all these things, technology stuff, you know, bypass those guys. Sony kind of lost their grip on that market, but they were, I mean, everybody referred to those handheld audible devices you carried with a headphone tied to it, a Walkman. That was a Sony name, right? Anyway, so, yeah, if you're not careful, you lose your place. And from what I can see right now, a lot of the emphasis on Fluke equipment is not their handheld meters. It's other test equipment. And there's companies that I've worked for that just continually buy stockpiles of these things just because. That's just the meter. Engineers like myself never said, hey, why don't you buy me something else? But I can tell you something. I'm just looking over here at the Tektronix. in the labs I've worked, I've always used Tektronix scopes. Always thought they were just the king of scopes. Well, I have to tell you, the last defense contractor I worked for just a few years ago, they're going to update the scope for me. I go, hey, you know what? Instead of giving me that Tektronix, well, that's another soapbox I can get on. Anyway, the short story of that is I ended up with a Keysight. Much happier, a lot less money, amazing scope, and I went with the Keysight. So I could have gone with the $25,000, $27,000 scope instead. I was like, I don't need that. And plus, I didn't like the new one. So I just didn't like it. And so I can talk about that in another video, but I wanted the Keysight. So there you go. I thought I'd always be a Tektronix guy. I thought I'd always be a Fluke guy. Now, I think I'm going to buy that EEVblog meter. The 121 GW. Yeah. I like heel keys. There's a lot of meters I like now. But I'm really curious about that one. I like the form factor. It looks like it's even smaller than the 189 and has more counts and, you know, pretty equitable resolution and everything else. So anyway, there you go. We got another bullet point, okay? But before we do that, when we talk about them being a pioneer, let's just talk about their history a little bit, okay? All right, I'm going to refer to these notes because John Fluke started the company in 1953, all right? About the same time he did that, Keithley became a company, and Amprobe became a company. And Tektronix, I think, was right after that. So all these great companies kind of started around the same time. The credit for the first multimeter goes to a British post officer. He was carrying around a lot of meters and wanted one meter that could do all his measurements. So that was in the 1920s, okay? Now in the 1930s, Westinghouse worked on the meters and came out with what was called the first universal meter, okay? That was in the 30s. So years later, John Fluke's company came out with the first digital multimeter. That was a Fluke 8020A, I believe. Or it was 8020 and then the next one was the A. I don't know, something like that. And that was like in 1977, all right? So, yeah, I probably own that meter. Actually, I got the 8068 back here. Pretty awesome meter, even still. But this meter back here came out in 1982, I believe. Okay, then in 1983, they came out with the 70 series, which the 79 came along later. And then in 88, the Fluke 80 series came out. And like I said, the Fluke 87 had a 3-year warranty when it first came out. So then in 1996, the category ratings were added. Category 3 and Category 4, the scary stuff I talk about. And, of course, a lot of the meters, like this one, had Category 3 and Category 4 added to it. Then in 1998, John Fluke Corporation was bought by Danaher. The Danaher Corporation, gigantic company. And in 1999, they bought Pomona. And Pomona makes great test leads. So I always loved buying the Pomona test leads. Well, they were bought by Danaher the next year. So you would think all the Fluke meters would come with awesome test leads now that they have a test lead company. And that was that company started in Pomona, California. And in 2000, they came out with the 80 series, the 180 series. So in 2004, they came out with the 87.4 and the 189. Same year, I believe. So, yeah, one thing about buying an old meter, you just don't know when it was made. It could be 18 years old. And then in 2006, Amprobe was bought by Danaher. And Amprobe used to be known for their current probes. Amprobe, Amprobe, right? And then in 2007, Tektronix was bought by the Danaher Corporation. They're just buying up everybody. Okay, then in 2010, they bought Keithley. Okay, and this Keithley meter up here, I love this meter. Another really nice meter, lots of digits, but yeah, that 2015 is just awesome. But yeah, then they bought Keithley. Okay, then in 2016, Danaher took this test measurement group, all these companies I've been talking about and broke them away and created a company called Fortive. So yeah, Fortive was part of Danaher, no longer. They're their own thing as far as I know. I think some of the board members or something like that might have become the leaders of Fortive, but yeah, I don't know about all that stuff. Anyway, just trying to give you a little bit of data. It's good to go double check all my facts and let me know below where I'm wrong and fill in the right answers for everybody else. But I tried to do some research. Hopefully I'm correct on this stuff. And then in 2019, they came out with the 87.5 Max. And you know what they did there? When we're talking about build quality down below, I kind of forgot on that bullet point to point something out about build quality. But that's the 87.5 Max. That's when they added a much better IP rating, ingress protection. Comes with two numbers. The first one's particle size, and second number is moisture or water. Okay, so this Fluke 87 has an IP ingress rating of 30. That means 3 for particle, which I think is a 1 millimeter size, object or whatever, and 0 means 0 moisture protection. That's why this meter is known to lose its display sometimes. And they had those zebra stripes, the little cushiony thing with the with the contacts to make this contacts with the display. I have the gray ones in this meter. The pink ones, I guess, came out later. Somehow they're better, I guess. Otherwise, they get a little corrosion. So when I took this meter apart, I cleaned it, put it back in. That usually takes care of it for a while. I didn't have the problem, but that is a common problem. And you can buy the pink ones and put in these meters if you want, but there you go. So as far as IP ratings, just taking a step back to talk about build quality again, a lot of the meters, well, I don't know, I want to say about half the meters have a drop test, 1 meter drop test, and look on your manual and let us know which model you have, and if it states that it has the 1 meter drop. It's usually under shock test, and it's usually just before the specifications of the meter. Then they'll also talk about the IP rating. About half the meters have an IP rating, and it's kind of like this one, the IP 30. They're not real high rated, but the Fluke 87.5 Max has a 67. They're 117, 115. I believe they're the same as this Klein. It's a IP42. It says it right here on the front of the meter. So I think that's what their electrician meters have the Fluke 115, 117. So you just have to look at the IP ratings. I don't believe the 70 has an IP rating. I don't even think the 289 does. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, like I said, 30 on this one's not much of an IP rating. So, and the 1 meter drop test, I don't think they actually have that tested on all of them. They probably do an internal test, but I don't know if they test the CE. Anyway, I'm not sure about that. I've tried to look into it, and I can't find it on some of the meters. So, could be totally wrong on that. But, the 1 meter test or even a 2 meter test isn't that big of a deal for high quality meters. So anyway, part of build construction I kind of missed on the earlier one. The IP thing is a nice thing. Like some of the meters I have, I believe this FLIR has an IP67, I believe. Have to look it up, but yeah, I've done reviews on this. Some of the meters I have do actually have like an IP67, like this one here. This Amazon that I talked about before, build quality, IP67, says it right there. So, and it has these little corks, basically. You put in these ports when you're not using them. So, basically and that has an ETL rating. So, that's that safety rating we're talking about. I guess in his bullets, in the discussion before his bullets, he didn't think that the protection was a big part of the cost of the meter, but that one I have to kind of disagree pretty heavily on, because those high rupture capacity fuses, let's talk about that. So Fluke, talk about, price of things from Fluke. they'll charge you 20 bucks, $21 for either the 11 amp or the 400 milliamp. Okay, there's two big fuse companies in the U.S. Well, I think they're U.S. companies. They used to be, I believe. Little Fuse, they make the 400 milliamp fuse, and Bussmann makes the 11 amp fuse. So Bussmann, you can buy those on Amazon. You can get, let's see, you get two of them for $10.50. You buy one of them from Fluke for 21 bucks. So it's like 4 times the price. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good indication we're getting price gouged, right? The 400 milliamp fuse, same thing. It's from Little Fuse. You can buy it on Amazon. A box of 10 of them for 38 bucks. That's $3.80 a piece. Or you can buy one from Fluke for 21 bucks, somewhere around there. Now, you also have to buy $50 worth of stuff from Fluke to get free shipping. Otherwise, you're going to pay shipping on top of that. So don't buy your fuses from them. I mean, a lot of people are so worried about safety that they're going to go to Fluke thinking that that's the place you got to get your fuses to make sure you get the right fuse. Well, no, you can get them on Amazon. Okay, on the back of the meter it tells you which fuse it is, and yeah, you can just find it on Amazon. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the pioneering, the de facto standard, and then there's a comment that they don't have to make cheap meters, and they have professional clients. Well, they don't have to make cheap meters. I'm again not talking about cheap meters. Buy the EEVblog meter. That's a better meter, right? Half the cost of this guy. Smaller, nicer. It's a cool looking meter. I like the blue color, so I need to get one of those. Anyway, yeah, professional clients. Well, okay, this is my humble opinion. I think that's what keeps them in business. Companies like I've worked for, boneheads like me that go to labs and don't tell the lab managers to, buy something more competitive. Save the taxpayer some money. Buy some amp probe meters. As a taxpayer, I should be more responsible. I should have known that these things were so expensive, and I should have asked the lab manager to buy some amp probes or a FLIR. That's an American company. You're supporting Americans. Buy the FLIR. So anyway, yeah, I think they might be relying on those professional clients. Not that the professional clients are smart. They just have deep pockets and they just buy what's easy. And they just, you buy this, no one's going to say anything. They should, I guess. But they don't. So I was one of those guys. It wasn't until I started this channel that I started questioning that. So there you go. All right. Okay, now this one here. I don't know if I can agree with this point. I don't know if this has any meaning to the price of the meter. They maintain world-class calibration labs and standards. Well, yeah, I don't know if I really care if they have their own calibration labs or standards. Now, they would have to make test measurement equipment. So I would understand that. They would just have to by de facto standard. I mean, they would just have to by default, right? Because it's like buying a car. You're not going to buy a car if the front end's not aligned. Hey, we used to align your, front ends. Yeah, we're not doing that. Oh, you want to pay 50 bucks extra? We'll do it. Otherwise, when you buy your car, take it to the nearest tire shop and they'll align your front end. No, you'd expect them to have the equipment to align the front end, right? So you buy the car that way. If you buy this meter or some meter on Amazon, not just Fluke brand, but there's other brands too. Some brands come with the first year certification. I want to say back in the day Flukes did it as well. Today, it costs you 50 bucks extra to buy a Fluke meter on Amazon, and not all of them are offered, I don't think, but anyway, some of them are, and I think it's like 50 bucks extra to get that. So, all right, well, cool. They have a calibration standard lab. That's cool. Now, the thing is I don't want to pay double the price of the meter because I'm sure these other companies have calibration standards too. And when you buy a meter, you don't, I know that the defense contractors I work for, they don't send it back to Fluke to get it calibrated. Okay? They just don't. I don't know if anybody does, actually. There's probably some of their meters, I'm trying to think, there's probably some meters they make that you might be required to send it back to them. I don't know. But most defense contractors back in the day, I think many of them, when the equipment used to have all these circuit boards in them and all this stuff and pots you had to calibrate and adjust. I mean, you'd go through this test procedure. It's not like that anymore. Calibration now is you hook it up, you have this piece of equipment on the bench, you have a module, you put in the module to test Fluke 87 series. Oh, got another module to test the 79 series. And you just sit there and plug and play and calibrate. You know, it runs through, make sure all the measurements are accurate. And if not, you get a big old sticker saying, can't pass calibration, go fix it. You know, something like that. Or you might, your agreement might be that they're going to get the meter repaired for you. But the calibration is just going to the meter, make sure it's still working. A lot of electronics today, they just don't drift, or not drift enough that we care, right? I've got some old meters around here, and when I test them to the newer meters I buy, they all look like they're still pretty darn good. Yeah, I don't have standards and all that kind of stuff. And that's why when I review meters, by the way, I don't measure 20 different resistor values, 20 different capacitor values. I do enough so you can kind of see the range and how fast it takes the meter to measure it. You know, but as far as like looking at the value and trying to determine if it's the correct value, I don't know when I've seen a review that came up with the wrong value. I'm sure it's happened, but anyway, so I'm glad they have those labs, and they're making lots of money on them. So they're making money selling the meters, and they're making money selling their certificates. I want to pat them on the back and give them extra money. You know, buy a meter shouldn't cost $400, $500. Again, I can use the EEVblog meter is a great example. $215. I get a great meter. I'm sure he doesn't have a Cal lab. Do I care? UEI, who builds the meters for him, they do. I'm sure it's world class too. So somehow they can do it and not charge double the money they should be charging. Who would buy anyway? Yeah, so I think I've kind of beat this dead horse to death. But alright guys, so in closing, what I want to say is I am so happy to see the EEVblog commenting on one of my videos. That was just awesome. So I thought that was awesome. And you know, it was great because it was on a video that I wanted to kind of follow up on anyway, and his bullet points were perfect outline to talk about that, because I think Fluke's an awesome company. Well, they made an awesome product and they became a de facto standard. I just hope that, you know, maybe they need a kick in the rear by us consumers to come out with some new meters and drop the price and be more competitive. I just think that would be great if they would do that. Maybe they're trying in some of these other meters, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the amp probe, there's, you know, again, I just want to, in closing, just want to say, I'm not saying go from expensive to cheap, you know, like the Astro, the Kaiweets, or, you know, some of those brands. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those brands, I don't think. You know, working here on the bench, you want 2 or 3 meters, get a couple of those. But it's also nice to have real nice meters, and you don't have to spend this money. You can buy an amp probe, you can buy the Fleur, the Hioki, the Bryman, the Greenlee, the Amazon commercials, I think. I think there's a lot of other options, and that's all I was trying to say is, man, until I started this channel. I didn't realize how overpriced these things were. And come on, guys, we can support one of our own, one of our YouTube people, EEVblog, that 121 GW. Compare the specs with that with the 189. I mean, for instance, you could compare it to the 87, it'll kick its butt. The 189, it kicks its butt, even though the 189 kicks this guy's butt. So, and this meter is just a big clunky, battery hungry meter. I'm not a fan of that meter at all. Yeah, data logging. Data logging? Come on. How many meters today come with Bluetooth with some software to send it to your computer and let your computer log all the data you want? You know. Anyway, so what do you guys think about all this? Give me a thumbs up if you like that. It took me some time to do the research, and you know, whenever I say anything against Fluke, I get my butt kicked. So, but I just think it's important for people that don't know any better and that feel like they have to buy a Fluke, but it's really pressing their wallet to do it, but they feel like they need it because they are getting into the field or something like that. I just think it's important that they know that there's good options out there. That's all I'm trying to say. So, and I guess the rant was like, come on guys, 20 bucks for a fuse, you're 4x over Amazon, and Amazon's still making a profit, so come on guys. Alright, hey, thanks for watching, and give me a thumbs up, and I want to thank Dave and the EEVblog for the comment and giving me an outline to talk about. So appreciate that, and we'll see you next time.